Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Rachel Korman. And we're going to be discussing her amazing book, We'll Always Have the Stars. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, man, it's a lot of other places. While you're at it, check out her other book, Dancing Through the Cosmos. Both of these books are fantastic additions to your shelf, and I promise you're going to want to run and purchase your copies. Now, before I go any further, I want to quickly point out the fact that Rachel was brought to us by Citi of Books. So for my writers out there listening in, if you've gone through your process and now you need some assistance moving the book that you just worked tirelessly to create, head on over to cityofbooks.com and gather all of the ways that their fantastic team is well equipped to help you do just that. Listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Rachel here on the line. Man, in a world that often feels overwhelmingly heavy, how do we find the strength to not just survive, but to manage to create something beautiful from our pain? I think that's a profound question to ask, and it's a pivotal one that is explored in this powerful novel. Listen, it's set during World War II, but it's a message about resilience and finding light in the darkness that feels incredibly urgent for today. It feels incredibly connected and so wonderfully timed. Adversity is going to hit us at any point. It doesn't really matter the year. It's part of life. But some of the themes, the messages found within this book, man, I tell you, they're going to help you look at things a little differently. Now, an entertaining read, yeah, it's got it. Something that has a little more substance, something that's grounded, yeah, it's got that as well. And that's all I'm going to say at this moment. It's going to be up to you to run and purchase your copies to discover it all. But let's start there. Rachel, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you for being a guest. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you for having me. I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this for a while. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here and talk about my book.
Rachel, listen, the pleasure is all ours. I think what you've done here is something special. And again, as I mentioned in my opening, much more than just an entertaining read. So let's dive right in. As I generally like to do, fundamentally, let's learn a little bit more about yourself.
Of course. So my name is Rachel Korman. I'm 27 years old. I live in Pennsylvania, and I have a degree in history and political science from the University of Pittsburgh. I was going to go into being a teacher, but I rediscovered my love for writing during the pandemic, and I haven't let go of it since then.
It's interesting how, if you search for it, right, and I think this perfectly aligns as well with your book, right? It's based upon perception sometimes, because there's been a lot of positive that has been able to come through COVID. And I've heard so many stories of people almost reinventing themselves through that. So love that message. Let's dive now into the book, We'll Always Have the Stars. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So this book, it's set during World War II. Specifically, I wanted to focus on the different before the war, during the war, and after the war, but in a different perspective. Instead of it being on the front or in the perspective of battles, it's of a teenage girl growing up and learning to live and adjust despite what the war does to her and her family. I just think that generally that Ella, my main character, is in a way, I think, the most important thing in terms of perseverance. Like, despite adversity, despite losing things, despite bad things happening in the world, she finds beauty and strength and hope in all. And that's what I really why I really wanted to write it.
Listen, I'm glad that you did, because I think that's a great message. And I think it's something that is really pivotal. It's a crucial component to all of this because, listen, as we still tied to your book, but when we look at that overarching journey, that message of perseverance, the message in the story of resilience here. Oftentimes we hear the stories of resilience from those around us and what we have gone through ourselves, but we generally miss the incredible work that is involved to get to that final point of resilience, perseverance, whatever it is. So again, tying it to your character, Ella, but also as a way of paying it forward, what would you say are some of the most critical and perhaps unglamorous tools that she had to pick up along the way to achieve that?
Ella had to learn a lot of lessons. She had to learn about loss at a very young age. She had to learn about perseverance and finding herself despite losing so much. She also had to learn how to protect herself and be strong for herself. And most importantly, I think the message here, Benji, is to save herself. She had to learn how to save herself. Yeah, it's just something that it's a very hard lesson. I think a lot of people say, oh, yeah, you have to save yourself, but they don't ever talk about what goes into how bad it gets so you can do that. And Ella goes through a lot of trials and tribulations, and she learns a lot about herself, about the world, and she doesn't come out on the other end feeling like she's lost or anything. She's actually felt like she's gained something, and she's found out and learned who she is as a person.
Rachel, without giving any spoilers away, was there, during this writing journey, was there a character who surprised you the most while you were writing it? Maybe one who you intended to maybe be a minor player in the book, but whose voice and potential role grew because the story demanded something else, more empathy, whatever the case may be. Talk to us a little bit more about that writing process and if anything really surprised you along that way.
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of surprises when I was writing this. I think the character that's sticking out in my mind is her brother, Kenny. For most of the book, he's not really in it, but I think in a way, at the end of the book, without giving too much away, Ella has a realization moment about her brother and even just about what he's shown her in the world, that when I first got into writing this book and I was planning the characters, her brother Kenny surprised me the most as being, I argue, one of the most important characters in this book, at least for Ella in particular. He really shaped her life in so many ways, good and bad, but ultimately she learned a lot and she grew a lot from it.
People, I'm telling you, you got to head on over to Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Pick up copies of We'll Always Have the Stars. While you're at it, make sure to gather the other one, Dancing Through the Cosmos. And as we continue moving forward here, Rachel, a common thing that I hear from writers in particular, but artists across the board, is a lot of times infusing part of yourself within your creation, right? As a filmmaker myself, I oftentimes try to I gather inspiration from my past, right? People will categorize it as a particular muse that one may have. A lot of times writers, they operate from a perspective of writing what you know. Sticking along the lines of this writing process, either A, are there any characters that are potentially imbued with aspects of yourself or your life, or is there a personal connection to the creation itself?
Honestly, that is the $1 million question, Benji, isn't it? Like, is Ella me? I'm going to be honest. No, I did not base Ella off myself. But there is one character that I did base off myself. Actually, ironically enough, I don't base one character. I base many characters off myself. I find myself very inspired by people around me, by the world, by the media I consume, by just like public events. And I think that I take all that in, and then I take what I know, and then I take from myself, and that becomes the character. I think it's a little bit of me. I think, there's a little bit of me in Ella for sure. She has my strength. She has my compassion, my empathy. She also has my determination, and she's stubborn just like I am.
There you have it. Listen, as we start to close out, Rachel, we know about this fantastic book, and of course, it was the anchor, so we wanted to invest the majority of the time there. But your other book, Dancing Through the Cosmos, let's take a few minutes here. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So Dancing Through the Cosmos is a sequel to We'll Always Have the Stars, and the main character in this novel is Ella's daughter, Isabella. And it follows Isabella's journey of becoming an actress and the highs and the lows of Hollywood in the 60s and the 70s. And then a whole undertow of a plot of Isabella just trying to find herself in a very uncertain world.
People, listen, I mentioned it before. I'm going to quickly say it again. It's Amazon. It's Barnes & Noble. Type it into a search bar. Gather all of it. And I think what I found so incredible about this, and I know that you are going to explore as well, once you pick up the novel and you start to embark upon it, is that it's that underlying message of constantly remembering that, like, getting better is active work. The beauty is a choice that we can make. And I get it. Like, when we look at the analogy of the iceberg, everybody wants the tip of it. Nobody really wants to see everything that's below the surface, right? Because that is the journey that sometimes is arduous. Sometimes it could be tumultuous. It could really pull you in a lot of different directions, but there are gems to be found within that journey. And that's where your ultimate resilience and perseverance is going to be derived from. And that's a big message that I hope we have all taken. I know I have, and it's something that is going to continue to be re-impressed throughout your read. So listen, I hope we all have the courage to churn our tragedies into the beauty that we find represented here in this book. That's a challenge that I pose to all of you. And I know that you're going to be a little bit better tomorrow because of the decisions that you make here today. It starts with these books. Rachel, this has been an absolute pleasure. And I really just want to give you a huge thanks for being a guest with us on People of Distinction.
Thank you so much. I've had a great experience. It's been so surreal, and I'm so happy that we've had this conversation, and I hope we can touch people's lives and improve the world in a better way, make it more beautiful.